Brandon took a step into the classroom like he'd already been there before. Not in the usual naked way, where their eyes dart for the safest corner or a seat that won't draw attention. No, he walked in like he was remembering something buried. You saw it too, didn't you? That split second where his eyes locked on the back wall above the clock, and the color drained from his face like he'd just recognized a ghost. There were 24 students that morning. By the final bell, there were 23, and no one wants to talk about it. I know what you're thinking, another school story. Another mean kid, another scared one, maybe a fight, maybe a teacher too slow to step in. But that's not what this is. This isn't about bullying. This is about what happened when Brandon whispered something into Caleb's ear. Owen knows exactly what was said, because no one could quite hear it, but Caleb dropped his hand from Brandon's collar like it had turned to ice, then backed up 3 steps and sat down. And never spoke again, not that day, not since. The teachers called it shock. Some parents said Brandon must have threatened him, maybe mentioned a weapon. But then why was Brandon, the calmest one in the room, looking not smug or scared, but almost disappointed? I stayed late that day. I wanted to understand, and I swear to you, when I opened the locker Brandon had been assigned, I found something inside it that chilled me to the marrow. A folded sheet of paper, aged at the corners, written in handwriting that looked identical to mine except I'd never written it. Asterisk, asterisk, don't let her speak his name again. Asterisk, asterisk, I don't know who her is. I don't know who his is. But the part that keeps me up at night, when I flipped the paper over, there was a name scrawled across the back. One I hadn't heard in years, not since my grandmother's funeral. It was the name of my stillborn twin, and then, just before I shut the locker, my phone buzzed. No number, no ID, just a single voice message, 4 seconds long. It was my grandmother's voice, and she was singing the lullaby she used to hum when I couldn't sleep, before she died in 2006. So I'm asking you now just one question. The kind no one else dares to ask. Asterisk, asterisk, what happens when a memory that shouldn't exist remembers you? Asterisk, asterisk, because Brandon's not the new kid. He's the one who never left. And today, he looked straight at me, like he's the one who's been watching this whole time. He looked straight at me. That's what I remember, or think I remember. The way his eyes caught mine too still, to knowing like someone watching a film they've already seen play out 100 times. But now, even that memory is starting to feel soft around the edges, like a dream you hold too tight and it begins to fray. I keep replaying it in my head, over and over, trying to trap the truth inside the moment. Did he really look at me like that? Or am I filling in blanks with what I wanted to see? Or worse, what someone else wanted me to see? The next morning, I woke up to find the voicemail gone. No trace, no record in my call log, just silence until I opened the voice recorder app, which I never use, and found a saved file titled simply, 3:17 a.m. I don't remember recording anything. I don't remember waking up. But when I pressed play, I heard the unmistakable click of my bedroom door opening, and my own voice whispering something I couldn't understand. Not a dream mumble or sleep talk. I was awake and yet I have no memory of it. I replayed the file again and again, trying to slow it down, isolate each word. But it always ended the same, with a soft, wet laugh. Not mine, not anyone's I know, and still no sign of Brandon. He never came back to school, not officially. His name was quietly removed from the roster. No explanation. No one talks about it anymore. Like he was a temporary glitch in the system. Like he didn't belong in our timeline. The teachers say you're thinking of someone else. When you ask about him, even the students have started acting like he never existed. But I remember the way the floor groaned under his feet. The sound of his breath, the way Caleb hasn't spoken since, but the world has moved on, and now I'm the one being watched. The first time I saw her was 3 days after the locker, not at school, at the CVS near my neighborhood. A woman maybe, late 30s, stringy hair, pale skin, like wet paper, standing near the blood pressure machine, just standing, not shopping, not moving, just watching me. But it wasn't her eyes that stopped, MIT was her hands. They were covered in what looked like pencil graphite, the smudged kind that gets on your fingers when you write too fast. And clutched in her left fist was a small yellow notepad, lined, torn, covered in handwriting that looked like mine. I couldn't read the words, but I know one line said, asterisk, asterisk, you left the window open. Asterisk, asterisk, I turned away for maybe 3 seconds, maybe 5. When I looked back, she was gone. Since then, little things keep going missing. Not big, noticeable things, personal things. An old photo I kept behind my mirror gone. My 4th grade field trip t-shirt vanished. The journal I started last year, the one where I'd written about dreams I was having before Brandon even transferred, asterisk ripped to shreds, asterisk placed neatly on my pillow like a warning. But what's worse than what's missing is what's been added. I found a drawing in my backpack, childlike, crude, drawn in red ink, a stick figure lying in what looked like a pool of black water. The words above it said, asterisk, asterisk, she remembers him now, and beneath it, scrawled in the same red pen, Do you asterisk asterisk? I started keeping voice notes just to make sure I wasn't losing time. I labeled them, timestamped them, played them back every night to check for inconsistencies. For a while, they were normal, just me, venting into the void. But last night, the audio glitched static at the edges. My voice began to echo itself, delayed by half a second, like someone else was trying to mimic me. And then something whispered under the static. Something soft, just behind the left ear. Too faint to make out unless you knew it was there. I played it backward, slowed it, filtered out the feedback. I wish I hadn't. It said. Asterisk asterisk, you were in the closet. You saw it happen. Asterisk asterisk, but I don't remember being in the closet. Except, I do remember a smell. Bleach. Rubber. Burned hair. That's when I reached out to Paige, the only one who might remember. We weren't close, but we shared that class with Brandon. She sat 2 rows over, behind the radiator. She's been acting strange, too disconnected, nervous, always rubbing the edge of her wrist like she's trying to scrub something off her skin. I met her behind the library. Under the stairwell. She didn't want to talk at first, said she was being followed, said they would know if she said anything real. When I asked her who they were, she laughed, hard, a sound that didn't fit her face. I told them I didn't remember, she said, digging her thumbnail into her palm. I lied. I remember the way the lights flickered before he walked in. I remember the sound that came out of Caleb's mouth. It wasn't human. What do you think happened? I asked. She leaned in. Her eyes were bloodshot and wide. I think we saw something we weren't meant to process, like looking at God through a broken mirror. You ever see a dog lose its mind during a thunderstorm? That's us. That's all we are. Dogs freaking out in the dark. I tried to laugh it off, but the more I looked at her, the more I saw it. The cracks, the missing pieces, the way she blinked too often, like trying to stay in a body that didn't fit anymore. She shoved something into my hand before she left. A cassette tape. No label, no case. Just a sticky note wrapped around it. That said, asterisk asterisk, don't listen alone. Asterisk asterisk, I found an old player in my dad's basement. Plugged it in, hit play, and let the room fill with white noise. For a long time, it was just that nothing. But around the 2-minute mark, a voice broke through. Not Brandon's, not Paige's. Mine, and it was saying something over and over, in a terrified whisper. She's wearing my mother's skin. Asterisk asterisk, I tore the tape out, dropped it, and for a second, I swear to God, I saw movement on the TV screen across the room. It was off. No signal, but the reflection. The reflection smiled. That night, I had a dream. Maybe not a dream. Maybe a memory. I was back in kindergarten, hiding in the janitor's closet, while 2 teachers fought in the hallway. One of them was crying. The other kept repeating something in a low, cold voice. It wasn't supposed to wake up. It wasn't supposed to wake up. I peeked through the crack in the door and saw Brandon, but he was younger. Still looked exactly the same, staring right at the closet. Right at me. I woke up with dirt under my fingernails. That was 2 days ago. I haven't seen Paige since today. I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line. Just a link to a video file. Against better judgment, I clicked it. It was footage of our classroom from the day Brandon arrived. I thought it was a security feed at first overhead angle, time-stamped, silent. But then I noticed something that made me go cold. I wasn't in it. Everyone else was there. Paige, Caleb, even Brandon. But my seat was empty. Like I was never there. Then, right before the clip ends, the camera zooms, on its own, slowly, into Brandon's face. His lips move. One word. Asterisk asterisk again. Asterisk asterisk, and the feed cuts out. I checked it. Timestamp. October 3rd, 2024. The same day I was hospitalized for a seizure I have no memory of. I only know because my mom keeps the discharge papers in the kitchen drawer. I wasn't at school that day. So how do I remember it so clearly? How do I remember Brandon? Unless none of this is memory. Unless all of it is something else. Maybe Paige was right. Maybe we saw something real. Something that doesn't live in time the way we do. Something that wants to be remembered and punishes those who forget. But there's one thing I haven't told you. The folder I found. The one labeled, "Don't let her speak his name again." I scanned the handwriting. Ran it through an AI detection app, a handwriting ID tool, just to see. It matched. It's mine, and the last page. The one I almost missed was dated 6 years into the future, August 5th, 2031, and written in the bottom corner. In all caps, asterisk, asterisk, do not trust the girl with the mole under her left eye. Asterisk, asterisk, that's when I remembered something else. Paige has a mole under her left eye, but so do I. It started to feel like things were lining up, like the pieces had finally begun to click into place. After weeks of slipping through my fingers, like cold breath on glass, I had a theory, now something real, something solid. It wasn't paranormal, not supernatural. It was psychological, and in its own way, that made it worse. Cleaner, more clinical, more human. The recordings, the voice memos, the strange notes, Paige's spiral. Caleb's, silence it, all fit. If I tilted the frame just enough, I'd fallen into a loop of dissociation, trauma, flashbacks, latent schizophrenia, maybe, something genetic. Maybe Brandon never existed. Maybe he had existed, but not in the way I remembered. Maybe I'd layered meaning onto him because I needed meaning, because the idea that some things just happen, without warning, or logic, or justice was too unbearable to carry alone. The locker, a misfiled memory. The drawing in my backpack, I'd seen one like it in a book as a kid. Paige's cassette. She was just as broken as me, feeding my delusion because it gave hers a place to land. And the woman at CVS, just a local, harmless. I was connecting her to all this because it gave the paranoia structure. I could breathe again in this theory. It gave me back a sense of control. I told myself this story wasn't a haunting, it was a breakdown, my mind fracturing under unprocessed trauma. And now, maybe, I was on the other side of it. That's when I went looking for the file. I remembered something Paige said the teachers had lied, that they knew, if any truth existed, it would be buried in the system. I knew the school's IT guy, Mr. Glenn. Kind, oblivious, soft-spoken. I told him I'd lost a digital project and needed help digging through the archived server logs. From October, he agreed with a shrug and a passcode. I found a folder labeled Discipline Records 2024, unlocked. Inside, a file named Brandon_12A MP4. It was the same day, the same timestamp as the footage I'd seen before. But this one had audio. I clicked play. For the first minute, it was the same Brandon walks into the room. Caleb blocks him. Tension builds, but this time, you hear the classroom. Papers rustling, soft muttering, the hum of the lights until Brandon whispers something to Caleb. Not loud, but caught by the mic just enough. I rewound it, again and again, slowing it down, filtering out the background. He says, asterisk, asterisk, you're already in the room. Asterisk, asterisk, and then, nothing. Caleb's expression goes slack, like a switch flipped. He sits. Silence swallows the room. But then, near the end of the video, the camera shakes. Subtly, a shudder, like the building itself exhaled. It wasn't the wind. It wasn't mechanical. The light in the top right of the screen pulses just once, and in that flicker, a shape appears. Near the far wall, only for a frame, too fast for the eye, unless you're looking, unless you know. A figure, or a shadow, no features, but unmistakably watching. Facing Brandon, I sat there in the server room, heart like a trapped bird, trying to deny what I'd seen. I told myself it was compression noise, a digital artifact, but I'd seen enough video to know, compression doesn't watch you back. Still, I clung to the resolution. I told myself it was the last gasp of a delusion burning off, that this would be the final puzzle piece, that I could let it go, that everything was about to make sense. But then something broke. The next day, I got a message from an unknown number. No text, just an image. It was a still frame from a video. The video, but I wasn't in it. Again, same classroom. Same time, stamp, different angle. A perspective I'd never seen before, like someone had filmed it from inside the closet. The message had no caption, but the file name of the image was asterisk, asterisk, still underscore in, underscore their GPG. Asterisk, asterisk, I ran to Paige's house. Her mother answered the door with red eyes and said Paige hadn't been home in 2 days. That she'd left a note that didn't make sense. I asked to see it. She was hesitant, but eventually let me into Paige's room. The note was scribbled on the back of a homework sheet. There were no coherent sentences, just fragments. But in the middle, in bolder handwriting, it said, asterisk, asterisk, we had a fire drill, but we never left the building. Asterisk, asterisk, and suddenly, it snapped into place. That was the detail. The one I had forgotten, the one that unraveled everything. The day Brandon arrived, we did have a fire drill, right before lunch. But here's the thing, we never made it outside. That's what Paige was saying. That's what I hadn't questioned. We lined up, filed into the hallway, heard the alarm, then there was a flash, not a fire, not smoke, just a glitch in the air, like reality blinked in, then we were back in the classroom, and no one mentioned it. Not once, not then, not ever, and maybe that's when it started. The shift, the event, a memory I'd overwritten because it couldn't be real, but I wasn't the only one. I found a news clipping online. Buried deep, scanned from an old microfilm archive. Dated May 19, 1996. Same school, same wing. A report of a teacher who vanished during a fire drill. Her class claims she'd walked into the supply closet and never came out. When they opened it, it was empty. The article said her name was Ms. Clyde Burnham. That name meant nothing. Until I pulled out an old yearbook. There, in the staff photos, Ms. Burnham. Except, she looked just like the woman from the CVS. Same hair, same stare, only now I realized something I hadn't seen before. The yearbook photo wasn't taken in the 90s. It was dated 2023. This wasn't over. It had never been over. The school wasn't a location, it was a mechanism. Something, watching, looping, recording, testing. Every few years, it glitched, reset, selected. We hadn't met Brandon. We'd remembered him, and now I knew why he looked at me like that. He wasn't seeing me, he was watching for the moment I'd wake up. So here's the twist. The cassette page gave me the one I tore out of the player after the "she's wearing my mother's skin" line. I played the last 2 seconds again. Slowed dot, and in the final static, a third voice speaks, not mine, not Page's. A low mechanical murmur, almost like a tape being spliced mid-sentence. Asterisk, 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 replay successful. Subject 1, to a beginning recognition. Asterisk, asterisk, and then a click, like a door unlocking, which means, this isn't the third chapter, it's the first, and you've already been in the room. It started with the symbol, a spiral. Hand-drawn, uneven, like it was scratched into the surface by someone in a panic. I found it carved beneath my desk, faint but deliberate, hidden under years of gum and graffiti. At first, I thought nothing of it. But then I saw the same symbol again in a street sign near my house, etched into the paint with a knife. Later, in a public restroom mirror, at the movie theater, just behind the condensation, left like a fingerprint. I didn't tell anyone, not right away. Because deep down, I felt like if I acknowledged it out loud, something would activate. Like it was waiting for me to notice. But I wasn't the only one seeing it. The first message came through the library. Printa. I hadn't printed anything, but when I passed by, a single sheet slid out blank at first glance, until I held it to the light. Faint, barely there ink. A sentence, reversed like a mirror. Asterisk, asterisk, you were right all along. We never left. The fire drill. Asterisk, asterisk, no name, no signature. Nothing in the system logs, just the page. Still warm, like it had been waiting for me. That same day, I caught Paige's reflection again, not her, but her reflection, in a blacked-out computer screen. Except she wasn't standing there. No one was. Just the aft of her face, staring sideways, lips moving silently, like she was mid-conversation. I turned, heart in my throat, but there was no one beside me. When I looked back, the reflection was gone. But someone had logged into the computer under a profile I didn't recognize. Asterisk, asterisk, Claire, 12X. Asterisk, asterisk, I clicked into the drive. Inside, a folder labeled simply. Asterisk, asterisk, EYES. Asterisk, asterisk, inside that videos. Dozens, surveillance style, all dated and time-stamped. All filmed from inside the school. Not the security system, these were different. Angles no one should have access to. From inside lockers, from beneath the floor vents, behind CHALKBOARDS, and in every single one, the same shape watching, unmoving, shrouded in that impossible flicker, like static made flesh. You only see it when you slow the footage, frame by frame, and even then, it's never in focus. But it's there. Sometimes near the students, sometimes inside them. I watched one labeled, March 14, 2003, a girl alone in a classroom, staring into the camera like she knew it was there. She lifts her sleeve, there's a spiral, burned into her arm. And then she says, slowly, clearly, asterisk, asterisk, we all wake up at different times. Some of us just take longer. Asterisk, asterisk, and then the screen glitches. She's gone. No jump cut. No fade, just gone. That was the moment I knew this wasn't mine anymore. This wasn't just about me, or Brandon, or Paige, or some mental break bleeding into reality. This was bigger, older, systemic, deliberate. The next night, I had a dream. It didn't feel like mine. It was too sharp, too textured, too authored. I was walking through the school, the halls distorted like an endless loop, lockers warping into doorframes, staircases folding into themselves. I wasn't alone. I felt watched, but not with malice. More like I was being studied, measured, and I wasn't walking toward something. I was walking back, to a classroom that didn't exist anymore, to a drill that never ended. And in the dream, I wasn't in my own body. I was someone else, a teacher, a woman, screaming but no sound. When I woke up, my hands were covered in red ink, spirals drawn over my knuckles. I don't remember doing it, but they matched the one I'd seen carved into the desk. That morning, a student I'd never seen before walked past me in the hallway and dropped a folded piece of paper into my bag without stopping. I waited until I was alone to open it. Asterisk, asterisk, we know who you are now. You're not crazy, they lied to you. Watch the exit sign above room 108. Midnight. Asterisk, asterisk, so I did. That night, I snuck into the school. The halls were heavier than I remembered. To still, like everything was listening. Room 108's exit sign glowed red, but there was something wrong with it. The letters weren't letters. They were symbols impossible. Angular shapes that rearranged themselves if you looked too long. And behind the glass of the door, just visible in the dark, was a face, not a person, not fully. Something that wore recognition, like a mask. It didn't move, it didn't speak. But when I blinked, it was inside the room with me. And in my pocket, my phone buzzed, airdrop request, asterisk, asterisk, ACC, EPT vision, asterisk, asterisk, I don't remember hitting yes. I don't remember deciding anything. but the file downloaded anyway. It was labeled asterisk asterisk found footage from 20 years ago. Asterisk asterisk the video was grainy, digitized from tape. A group of students in the same school, same fire drill, same glitch. One kid holds up a camcorder, joking, laughing in. Then the tape shakes violently. People scream, not because of an explosion, not because of fire, but because the hallway folds like a mouth opening. One of the students drops to the floor, convulsing. The camcorder keeps rolling. The others run. You hear a teacher screaming, asterisk asterisk, turn it off. Turn it off, asterisk asterisk, and then a sharp cut. It ends with a still frame. A freeze of the student who collapsed. His face is burned in my mind now, because I've seen him before. Recently, it's the same face as the janitor who mops the halls after 7th period, and then the screen goes black, and another line appears. Asterisk asterisk, you're seeing IT because you're ready. Asterisk asterisk, that's when I realized, I'm not alone. There are others, always have been. Kids who whisper backwards phrases into mirrors. Teachers who never show up in yearbooks. People who watch from the corners of rooms and disappear when the lights flicker. I started noticing pattern students wearing mismatched shoes, always looking behind them. Girls who braid spirals into their hair. Boys who flinch at the sound of certain locker numbers, codes exchanged through glances. Notes folded in precise ways and dropped behind vending machines. And then there are the watchers. I started seeing them more frequently. Not ghosts, not people, observers. One sat behind me in math, never moved. When I turned around to confront them, the seat was empty, but the desk had something carved into the wood. Asterisk asterisk, if you remember. They remember. Asterisk asterisk, I don't know who they are. No one does. Maybe not even the observers. Maybe it's not about individuals at all. Maybe it's a program, a loop, a test that's been running since before the school was even built. Some say the building is just a skin stretched over something ancient. Others say the truth was buried in a file the government never released. Sealed during a 1997 electrical fire that wiped out half the West Wing. There are newspaper articles, but they're all identical, word for word, and the only image that ever appears with them is a photo of an empty hallway with one locker door slightly ajar. Locker 218. My locker. The spiral is inside it now, burned into the back wall, and when I touch it, it hums quiet like a generator. I don't know who I am anymore. That's not dramatics, that's confession. There are gaps in my memories that weren't always there. People say my name, and I feel like they're talking about someone else. I look in mirrors and feel like I'm mimicking someone. Following a pattern, I've read journal entries I don't remember writing, but they're in my handwriting. I've watched videos of myself talking about events I can't recall attending. And the worst part is I'm beginning to suspect that the real me is the one I've been trying to forget. That's when the observer showed up. The third perspective, I don't know where they came from or how they found me, but they started leaving messages. Not physical, not digital, impressions. A song I hadn't heard since childhood, suddenly playing over the intercom. A smell burned chalk and wet cement drifting through my room at night. A dream shared by 4 students, all describing the same event in perfect detail. A figure standing on the roof of the school during the 1996 eclipse, whispering names that hadn't been born yet. The observer doesn't speak directly, but I've come to recognize their presence. It's like the moment right before a seizure, where everything becomes too real to trust. Colors sharper than they should be. Time folding in on itself. The sense that your body is being puppeted by a memory you didn't make. And in those moments, I feel the observer watching through me. As if I am both subject and camera. As if I've always been. And here's the part you're not going to want to hear. You've been watching too. Not just passively, not as a viewer. You've felt it. The flickers, the memory glitches, the déjà vu that coils around certain smells, certain songs, certain hallways that don't seem to lead the same direction twice. That sick feeling in your stomach when you find an old photo of yourself that you don't remember taking where. Your eyes are a little too dark, a little too aware. You're not crazy. They lied to you. This is bigger than me, bigger than Brandon, bigger than Paige or the fire drill, or the spiral or the watchers. You saw the signs. You were asterisk, meant asterisk too. So now the question is asterisk, asterisk, what did you forget, and who made you forget it? Asterisk, asterisk, the story's not over. It's only just beginning, and if you go back rewatch every frame, every word, every glitch you will see it. The spiral's been there all along, waiting